What's going on, people? CP3, live in the lab, Washington football team, post game, disappointing 31-23 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This game has had me frustrated, pissed off, upset, and a lot more because at some points in this game, I felt like this game was being called lopsided. There were a lot of holding calls that weren't called against the Tampa Bay offensive line, and even when they played the replay back, you could see some of the holds are blatant. You saw Tim Settle getting hog-tied like in a wrestling move, no call. You saw the guard holding Deron Payne on almost every play. If maybe they would have called him earlier, Payne would have had more than 2 sacks in the game, which is huge for a defensive tackle. But it was just, in my opinion, a lot of missed calls that changed the complexion of this game. And to me, I just wish it was called more even. But I'm never going to blame the refs. I never will. I never have. But there was some questionable things going on. But I'm not going to make it a whole negative post game because it's late. I know folks is a little frustrated. I know some folks are pleased with what they saw. I can't take the moral victory road right now because I felt like this team had a chance to win this game, and you know, just frustrating because I saw a lot of opportunities. We talk about the everybody's gonna talk about the balls that were dropped, the running game not being as stout as we've seen it, but Tampa had the number one run defense, which is what they talked about the whole week. Only giving up 80 yards a game. They got 86. I felt like they could have done more to try to get more running yards. But Scott Turner being who he is, with Heineke playing the way he was playing, there were some missed opportunities out there, play calling wise, and on the play. I got the Facebook live feed up. I got the Periscope live feed up. I got the YouTube. I try to check them. As you see, I'm doing the post game solo. Robbie's chilling with the fam. Probably upset about the loss, just like I am. Shout out to everybody on the True Radio Network, Sports OTHP, Sports OTHP Apparel. Everybody that's tuning in. What's up, Mark? What's up, Joe? Appreciate y'all tuning in. Let me get to some of the comments that's coming through before I start breaking down some of the stats and everything. Let's see. Said a hell of an ending. Mark says hell of an ending. Proud of the team. I mean, definitely proud of the team because some folks had this team only winning 2 games this year. Some said one, and the fact that they won the division, hosted a home playoff game, which is cool, but it always sucks to be one and done. And yeah, like I said, I'm not in the mood for more victory right now. I feel like this was a winnable game. That things were tilted because of who was at quarterback of the other team and the whole narrative behind him. But I've never been a Brady hater. I'm not going to start being one now. But I just had to state a fact. Let's see. Fred says, and they did call the holding at the end of the game. They made sure it wasn't beneficial to us because the result of the play was better. Yeah, it's crazy they decided to start calling penalties at the end of the game, trying to look like they're trying to make it fair. So, like I said, I don't want to harp too much on the refs because that could be a whole show in itself right there. I said they really made Brady out to be great with the no holding. I felt like the play calling wasn't very creative in my opinion. With that defense, the way Todd Bowles was calling against the Washington offense, I mean, first of all, you got to give Tyler Heineke a hell of a lot of credit. Being only on the team for a month, coming in, he took all the reps this week with the first team, which definitely I feel benefited the offense and himself. You got to give a shout out to him. I think he's played himself into at least a roster spot at training camp next year to compete for the backup job or maybe the starting job, depending on what Alex Smith decides to do. He's on the books for a large number next year. I can't remember what it is, but it's a pretty big number. So we'll see how that plays out in the offseason. We'll be talking about that later on in the offseason. But yeah, he played a good game. I had that one interception, but stuff happens. It was. I'm just so frustrated by this game. Right, I'm just replaying something. I recorded the game. And I'm gonna go back and look at it again. But I just feel like this was a winnable game. The defense played well. Brady is Brady, granted, but there was opportunities out there that this team, you know, is just about ready to, make that next move. So they're in a good position. First year under coach, 7-9. We saw the progress from week one to the end of the season. So you definitely have a good foundation. You definitely see the difference in coaching and how good coaching, can make a team better and help develop and become better through the season, and not having to wait to say, okay, we sucked the whole season. We're going to go into the off season, do this, do that, and we're going to be better next year. Nah, you saw this team get better throughout the season. So definitely, I say that is a bright spot to look at for this team. But yeah, I would have loved to upset this team because yeah, that's all you heard all week was about Brady this, Brady that. Fred said Taylor looked good. He said he played very smart. Yeah, definitely did. He's a tough dude. Yeah, he came back in after suffering the injury, which I found kind of crazy because it was a broken screen. He threw the ball into the grass, and they still allowed the defensive man to throw him down to the ground. Now, if that was on the other side, if that was Brady, and that was Jonathan Allen, or Payne doing that, I guarantee you a flag would have got thrown on that. But I digress. Let's get into some of these numbers before I go on the rampage on these. I'm trying to hold it back, but boy, I saw some. And it's sad when the commentators say, "Oh yeah, that's probably pass interference," and they don't call it, and they're like, "Oh man, guess we shouldn't have said that." It was like it had happened like 2 or 3 times during the game where they saw the call. Even the on-air official was like, "Yeah, I would have had to call that." It was mind blowing. Uh, 31-23 final score. Washington football team, out of the playoffs, ready for the off season. Brady went 22 for 40, 381, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, with 104.3 rating. Heineke went 26 for 44, 306 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, with a 78.4 quarterback rating. Fournette, 19 carries, 93 yards, 4.9 yard average for 1 touchdown. Antonio Gibson, 14 carries, only 31 yards, 2.2 yard average, no touchdowns. Goodwin for the Bucks had 5 catches, 79 yards, 1 touchdown, 15.8 yard average. And Cam Sims they talked about the connection that he has. They've definitely probably been working, both of them working to improve their craft with each other. They had great time, and he had 7 catches, 104 yards with 14.9 yard average, no touchdowns. This team under Taylor looked pretty good. I mean, they put up 23 first downs, with 7 for 14 on third down conversions, 86 rush yards, 289 pass yards, for a total of 375 yards of total offense. They gave up 3 sacks. They got 2 sacks. They had 2 penalties for 25 yards. That face mask penalty was ridiculous. That helped extend the drive. It was on the third down. His hand hit his face mask, didn't grab it, didn't do nothing, and they threw the flag. But then when you saw their man do the same thing to our man, no flag, and they even replayed it in slow motion, and a commentator said nothing. So I don't know, man. I can't call it. Time of possession: 28 minutes and 48 seconds for the offense. It was an interesting game because unfortunately they started out a little slow, went down some points again, but they came back. Taylor led them on a nice drive. He had some great touch on the ball. He when he needed to be mobile, he was. I felt like he waited too late. I mean, not too late, but I felt like if he'd have started running more often earlier in the game, it would have made Tampa's defense a little bit more honest. But starting his first wild card game, starting his first game, and it's a playoff game going against Brady and the Bucks, you're gonna expect he had to get comfortable. And once he did, you saw him starting to move around. You saw that great touchdown run that he had. I mean, I like the kid. I saw from when he came in the previous week. that I feel like I had confidence with him going in there, with him taking the snaps all week, that if the defense played well, they had the chance to win the game, and that's where we were. They were underdogs by 8.5. They lost by 8. They covered, so that's what I said. I was hoping they would win the game, but I covered my bets. I got a six-pack coming. Let's see. Mark Miller said on the third down, at the end where they got the last field goal was huge. We make that stop, maybe we could have had a chance to take the lead. Yeah, when they went down by 2, they got the stop, but couldn't get nothing together going offensively. And yeah, we know the rest. We know the rest. The future looks good for us. Yeah, it definitely does. What's up, Philip? Said, what the hell were they thinking on the short kickoff? I give Brady a short field. Yeah, sometimes I don't understand why they had that mentality of thinking that, I don't know, they can catch them off guard or see if they can, bust the coverage, a different way, because now with all the restrictions on kickoffs, you really can't do some of the things you were able to do to try to force turnovers or force the player a certain way to force, the action. So I'm not sure. They might ask him that in the post-game press conference, and if he, when I check it out, if he says something, I'll make sure I post about it or put it on our page or whatever. You can always check us out, Sports OTHP on Facebook, sportsothp.com for all of our shows, the apparel line, all of our contributors. They have their own podcast. You can click on that button. So, yeah, just check it out. You know what it is, DC Sports about the politics. I know I didn't go through the whole intro like I normally do, but like I said, I'm still, I'm not at the pissed off or pistivity right now, but yeah, I'm still a little pissed about this game. I'm actually have the post game on for one of our local stations, and I'm glad I got the sound off because I can tell they're saying some stuff that sucks right now. Let's see. Fred said we had some good mechanics, made some smart decisions, and the one interception was a tip ball. Yeah, I mean, you go back to the 2 that Alex had. Both of those were like fluke interceptions the week before. So it's sometimes the ball bounces your way, sometimes it doesn't. Unfortunately, this week it didn't bounce our way enough. Yeah, the kickoff. Yeah, I don't understand it either. But let's do a little recap, I guess. We'll definitely cover it on Monday night show, breaking down the season that was, the progress, the growth, and the fact that they won the NFC East, even though the division wasn't, everybody else was 6-10 and they were 7-9. But the fact that no one had them, even competing in the division. Everyone had the Cowboys winning the division and the Washington football team finishing dead last. For all the folks that was doubting and hating on Rivera early in the season, now do you understand what we were talking about? Now do you see what patience does and letting things work themselves out? It was a rough season. No preseason, no training camp for real, no OTAs. So it took this team time to figure itself out, especially with a new coach bringing in a new offense and going through the situation we went with the quarterback. And I put the post out for those folks that still talking about race, talking about Haskins didn't get a fair shot. Taylor been on the team for a month. That's all we want Haskins to do. Keep the team in the game. Don't make too many mistakes. Buy time with your feet if you need to, and make accurate throws. And I'm just gonna leave it at that because I wanted to bring on Big Hurt, but he's on lockdown right now, so he can't come on. But I like this team. I like what Rivera, Del Rio, and to some extent Scott Turner has done, this season. Turner, like I said, I'm going to give him a little leeway being his first full-time offensive coordinator gig, coming into a, new situation, new team, changing culture, all of that good stuff. I just hope he goes back and reviews all the film and realize that sometimes you got to run out of the quarterback under center, not always out of shotgun, trying to, use misdirection to so-called trick the other team into, hoping that something works. Sometimes you just got to do smash mouth football. You saw what Tampa did on that drive before Fournette scored a touchdown. We've seen this team do that, and we've always said that he calls plays better when he has a lead than when he's from behind. It's like sometimes he overreaches or tries to force the action instead of just taking what the team is giving him, and that's what excuse me, that's what works in the NFL. You're not going to be able to, go over the top all the time. Sometimes you just gotta work your way down the field, take your time, and when that shot comes, you take it. But you can't force it. You can't keep on trying and thinking, oh, this time it's going to work. You got to set the other team up. And I think once he figures that out, he'll be fine. The only thing one of the other things that upset me that where was the screen game? There were a couple of times when they tried to run the ball out of a shotgun formation. If they had called the screen to either the tight end or the running back, that was a good 10, 15-yard gain just because of the aggressive nature of Tampa's defense. And I just wish Turner would have took advantage of that because that's what they were doing to our defense, using their aggressiveness against them. Some of the play calls, we know, Bruce Arians and now Byron Leftwich, which is shocking. I had no idea he was a play caller until I learned earlier this week that he was their play caller. But he did a hell of a job mixing plays up, keeping the defense off balance, and mixing the run and the pass up. Granted, when you have, that much time because your linemen are getting away with holding, you can make those throws. That's why I just wish the game was called evenly and those holding calls would have been called, because then I could feel better about an 8-point loss to the Bucks. But the fact that I feel like they weren't given a fair shot off the break just don't sit right with me right now, man. I'm not feeling that shit. Let's see. Brandy Smith says that when are we going to get a name? Right now they're still in court. From what I've heard, it's a combination. They haven't decided yet. From when we had Miss Jody Donaldson on our show about 2-3 months ago, she was saying that they wanted more fan involvement to name the team, but I also heard that Red Wolves is the favorite name, and a couple of college teams have that name also. So it's a lot of trademarking and branding stuff that's going through the court system. That's why they said it'll probably be a year or two before the team will get an official name, because they have to go through the whole legal process and all that stuff. At least that's the last that I heard. I haven't really talked to anybody about it or even asked about it because, playoff rush, playoff push, But if I get any more information, I'll definitely pass it along. You can check out that Julie Donaldson interview we had a couple of months back. You can check it out on our website, sportsothp.com. You can check it out on our Facebook page. You can check it out on my YouTube channel, Carol Porter III with 3 eyes. We always do a simulcast, which I'm doing now, on my Periscope or my YouTube or Facebook. So check us out. I had a great interview with her about 2-3 months ago. I'm going to try to get her back on. I'm also working on trying to get a couple of other surprise guests to come on the show. I've been grinding on the job, selling cars, but I'm still working some of my connections, man. I might have some surprise guests coming up in this off season that I've been, communicating with, So stay tuned. You never know who might be popping up on Sports in the Hill podcast. But yeah, Mark, Leftwich, former Marshall dude, man, West Virginia. Said he was on the sideline with Smith talking a lot. What you talking about? You talking about Chase? You talking about when he pulled himself out the game? Yeah, he had those leg issues. We don't want to mess with those legs, especially going into the off season. So, they still played well on that drive. They still, still was in the game, man. It was definitely a winnable game. Just still frustrating. Still frustrating. I know a lot of the fans probably feel the same way, but I know I do. What's up, Mark? Man, no problem, man. I got to do the post game, especially after the playoff game. We haven't had a chance for a Washington football team playoff game in a minute. and it hasn't been one since we've been on the air. Robbie just chimed in. Appreciate you sharing, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, because I definitely wouldn't have had a chance of trying to do all of this by myself with this OBS and everything. But as always, you know, as they always say, it's always next year. We've said that for a long time in this town and tried to be optimistic. But I think honestly, this team you have something to be optimistic about now with this team, especially with the defensive foundation that they have. Offensive line, we failed to mention last week Chase Rouillet, center, re-signed for I believe 4 years. The only unsigned member of the O line is Brandon Sheriff. He's under the franchise tag. Uh, they reluctantly got him to say that he did want to remain here on the record, and coach said that he's definitely wants him here, wants to resign him, and wants to keep that unit together because he felt like that unit has played pretty well. If they can lock up Sheriff, then that will be all five of the linemen will be at least signed until 2022. So, like he said, that'd be one less unit he'd have to worry about drafting or, worrying about making a big free agent move or whatever. So, they're definitely going to. I'm not really sure what's missing with the running game because the offensive line, is built to run the ball, and that's what I'm hoping Scott Turner will realize that you can, run the ball with the quarterback under center. You don't always have to try to. It's just frustrating on the 3rd and 2. You line up a shotgun and trying to run the ball. It just defeats the purpose. You're starting 3 yards back in your own backfield with a stout defensive line that's blitzing a majority of the time. So you're not giving yourself really a winning shot at running the ball. I call it the Jay Gruden syndrome, and I feel like Scott Turner suffering from that from time to time. But I would like to see Peyton Barber in there. He's more of a downhill runner, a battering ram. I would love to see him get into the game and try to soften up the interior of that Bucks defense, and then let Gibson try to hit the outside and bounce it out and use his speed, which is hard against a defense like theirs that's quick, that's good sideline to sideline. But once you start to wear out the interior, then they have to bring that man down into the box. Then everything changes because then they have to change up their coverages. They're going to be using more man if they're bringing the man down into the box to stop the run or the look of the run. So, like I say, I'm a defensive guy, so you have to understand offense to be able to coach defense. And it's just some things that I see that I've always boggled my mind. That's why I can't wait to get the opportunity to get to Redskins Park and ask some of these questions. Due to this COVID situation, I had an opportunity to go to training camp and, maybe get into the press tent, maybe get some questions, But there's always next year. I'm going to try to work my connections, see if I can make that happen again, because I definitely need to know some of these questions. Let's see. Brittany to jump on. He said the only one worthy is the center. Come on down. He said he run up the middle every damn time. I'll let y'all two go in. Gibson, he had the turf toe. He definitely wasn't 100%, but he was good to go. They've been resting him during the week because they didn't let him practice on the turf in the bubble. So both of him and Terry McLaurin both were basically on light duty all week. I don't think it was really an issue with Gibson. Like I said, I would have liked to see Peyton Barber, but the mindset that Turner had was trying to get, I guess match speed for speed and try to beat him with matchups. But sometimes with speed, you have to jam them and run it down their throat, man, and wear those fast guys out because that's the only way you can do it. You let them pass rush all day long, and that's what they love to do. That's what they do. But you make them start having to, tackle a running back and get off of blocks of guards and traps and all the other different things that offensive linemen can do. It just changes the whole complexion of the game. I hope Coach Rivera, they sit down and they talk about that because with him being an old school coach, I know that he understands how critical it is to have a running game and a go-to play when you need that critical yard that you can call this player like, hey, we know we're gonna get that first down. Let's call it. So, like I say, but it's still the first year, and you still got players coming back off the injured list and players that stepped up. One player that I'm not gonna disappointed is a strong word, but let's just say I expected more out of Isaiah Wright, the undrafted free agent, because some of the tape that I saw on him in college, I was hoping it would translate immediately to the field. And I've always said for NFL, some wide receivers, it takes them 2 to 3 seasons to get acclimated to the NFL, the speed of the game, and all the different nuances and the better defenses, and not just being able to outrun everybody, to be able to run routes and know how to set up your defender and all of that, like we see Terry McLaurin do. But that's one player that I was expecting more out of, and I'm hoping that he goes into the off season and starts working on some of those things to get himself on the field, because the stuff that I saw in college, some of the moves I've said over and over again, he reminds me of a Tyreek Hill type player that you give him the ball in space, he can make people miss and he can take it to the house. And you give him the ball in different situations, running the ball on the jet sweeps like they like to run, throwing them screens, not the quick screens that we've seen, sometimes the developing screens that the quarterback sells it as a run, play action, drop back, and running back jumps out on the side, hit the ball, and go from there. So those quick screens to the wide receiver, when you're playing fast defenses, they never work because the defenses are so fast, sideline to sideline. By the time the wide receiver gets the ball and allow his lineman to set up his block, too late. Everybody else already there. And you might get 5 yards at the most. But those developing screens are the ones that work. We've seen Green Bay do it over and over again. With Aaron Rodgers, no matter who was a running back, he had a slow developing screen. He had a play fake, run back, buy some time, dump it right over the defender head. Next thing you know, 20-yard gain by the running back on the little screen. And I felt like the screen game would have helped offset Tampa's aggressive nature with Todd Bowles, the way he calls plays. But, like I said, Scott Turner's still learning on the job. I'm not going to say I've studied more football than he has, being Noel Turner's son, but, I still got VHS tapes and the VCR that sometimes I watch old football tapes. So, hey, don't judge me, but I love football. Let's see. Fred asked, "Do you think they keeping Kerrigan?" He wants to stay. It's really the ball is in his court because he's still good enough to be on that somebody else will pick him up on the Super Bowl contender team to have him as a third down, pass rusher, or have him as a situational guy that, that might be the missing piece for a Super Bowl contender. So I would love to see him. He said that he wanted to be a lifelong Redskin. Oh, dang, said it. Lifelong Washington football team member. And I don't know. It's all going to depend on how I play. I think the Alex Smith situation is definitely going to play a big key because, like I said, he has a nice salary cap number next year. And, we'll see how that goes if he restructures or, takes, money and guaranteed cash so it doesn't count against the cap on the books. So that's going to play a lot into that also. So right now it's still early. All we can do is wait and see at this point. Let's see. Russell Wilson got picked for 6 on the wide receiver screen. Yeah, I mean, if you run it too much, which we've seen this team do, it becomes predictable. And when you start running it, teams key in on that. They look at the formation, they look at where the quarterback's standing, they look at who's in there. And when you run the same plays out of the same formations, it gets predictable and defenses can pick it up. I know at one point under Jay Gruden, I was sitting here calling almost every play that he was calling on offense and was calling it before he even called the play because I knew what he was going to do because I was watching his tendencies. So if you have tendencies, when you're going up against a real quality coach that studies, every nuance of the game, they're going to pick up on that. They're going to see, on 3rd and 2, you like to go 2 running back, 1 tight end, 2 wide receiver, and, run to the weak side. They're going to look at how many times you do that in different situations and what situations you do. So once that's why you have to be diverse, and that's what some of these offensive coordinators outthink themselves because then they think, oh, I need to be, creative. I need to do something different and flashy. But no, sometimes you just gotta do the simple thing, but your team has to execute, and that's the difference. Even if they know it's coming, you still have to be able to get that tough yard when needed. And we know the old Washington football teams under Joe Gibbs, the 46 gut and counter Trey. The teams knew they were coming. They would stack the box against it. But because the team executed their play well every time, it worked almost every time. So sometimes it's about out coaching and out thinking, and sometimes it's just going out there and out physicaling the man. So, like I say, I don't want to go too long because I done had me a long day. I was at work at 8:30 this morning. See, we got a few viewers. Appreciate y'all checking us out. I normally share some of the groups too. I share after the fact, I guess. Probably share tomorrow because I'm taking off tomorrow. Probably rewatch the game, chop up some footage, and call it a day. Let's see what time is. Oh boy, 12:15. Yeah, it's about time to get off the air. I appreciate y'all checking us out. Well, checking me out. Normally I say us. Um, Tomorrow night we'll be at the bar radio. 6 o'clock. I'll be streaming live again. I'm not sure. Uh oh. Hold up. What's going on? What up? About to lose power. Hold up, people. Don't want to lose the feed. I thought I was plugged in and I wasn't. All right, that's cool. That's cool. Almost ended very abruptly, but luckily I saw the message. Um, Tune in tomorrow night at the bar radio. We talk current events. Uh, Only play independent music. I might talk a little sports talk wild card weekend. We'll break down more of the Washington football team on on Monday. Hopefully we'll have Dujanay on this week to recap the season and talk about recap this game a little bit more. Because like I said, I'm gonna rewatch the game, check out some of the things that I was definitely intensely involved in this game because, like I said, I felt like this team could upset Tampa. Unfortunately, it didn't go down that way. So it is what it is. There's another year coming up, another off season. Hopefully, this COVID situation will be rectified, and they will be able to have a regular off season, preseason. I know there's even talks of reducing it to 2 or 3 games, which I think the owners' proposal would shock me because they get to keep all the revenue from the preseason games, don't have to split it with the players or anybody else. So we'll see how that goes going into the next season. Like I said, tune in tomorrow night at the bar radio. I forgot to guess where. If it's a New York artist, he'll be Skype calling in. We'll be, funning, sipping, having fun. Then Monday night, 9 o'clock, Sports on the Hill podcast. We'll be breaking down and recapping the Washington football team season, and we'll have our NBA roundtable breaking down and recapping the week that was and the upcoming games. Wait down. I swear my dog always messes around when I'm on the air. Yes, sir. No doubt. DC's People's Champ. Appreciate it, man. Hey, man, y'all take it easy on the Facebook Live feed, man. Y'all be going at it all the time. But make sure you tune in Monday night. Sports on the Hill podcast, True Radio Network, coming to you live always, streaming on Facebook, Periscope, Instagram. Well, dang, not Instagram yet. I'm working on Instagram, but Facebook, I mean to say. Check out the website. Check out the apparel line. We're partnering up with Eric Kusa. Shout out to Assad. Got to go pick up my new one of the new outfits he made for Sports on the Hill podcast apparel. I'll be rocking that joint. So stay on the lookout. We got some more new things coming. We got a little backed up with some of the orders we had. Got everything out that I had, but I haven't had a chance to get more stuff. So it's in the works. So stay tuned for so much more. You can always go check out OTHP Apparel. Got the Washington football team Sports OTHP hoodie. You can go cop that on the website. District of Champions. We got that. You got hoodies. You got the pillow. You got the backdrop. You got phone cases. Got a little bit of everything. So go check it out. Got coffee cups, man. Just go check it out. We appreciate all the love and support. Y'all are always there for us. We just hit 2,000 likes on our page. I'll be posting on that tomorrow. I had a, Robbie did a nice graphic for that joint. I'll be posting that tomorrow. And we'll be talking some more sports because that's what we do. DC sports without the politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. CP3, live from the lab, and I'm out. Ending the show, radio with Renegade Money Convo. Go check it out. Go follow him on Instagram, Renegade703. Go follow him on YouTube, Renegade703. His video got over 11,000 views. I make my actor debut in this joint. Check it out. Got over 60,000 streams of this on all platforms. Go holler at my boy Renegade Nephew.